I've said this before, and I've said it in many different contexts. Usually I say it about nutrition, but you can really apply this to everything, and I'm going to say stop trying to copy other people. But this time I'm going to talk specifically about training and especially technique. You are not Lou. You're not Klokov. You're not Ed Coan, and you're not John Hack. And I had to remind myself of that. So I am so impressed with John Hack that I started trying to figure out how does he do that. It's almost like a mid-bar squat. He does like this high bar squat, but it's kind of like he has the bar a little bit lower than you might normally use for a high bar squat, and started messing around with that. And you know what? It doesn't work for me. It doesn't. It just doesn't feel right. Like my shoulders hurt afterwards, and it leaves a bruise on my back, and I can't squat like John Hack. You know what? I also can't do cleans and snatches using the same form and technique as Liu Xiaojun. This shouldn't come as a surprise, but it always does, because we all look at the best people out there and we try to copy them. We're like, oh, I'm going to do what that guy's doing. You know what they do? They find the best technique for their body. They're not doing the best technique, like, universally, because there is no universal best technique. Maybe you have short femurs, maybe you have long femurs. If you look at the Chinese lifters, and I'm going to use them as an example because that's probably the best example, they purposely select athletes that have shorter femurs. This isn't by some type of weird error. They're intentionally choosing which athletes they're going to invest in, and they purposely choose the ones that have shorter femurs because they're built to be very good at squatting. And the Chinese weightlifting technique is very quad dominant. So you'll notice that they have this, like when they pull from the floor, right? So imagine yourself doing a deadlift. Whenever you deadlift, for most of us, it's all like glutes and hamstrings, low back, posterior chain. And obviously weightlifting is not deadlifting, but I will point out to you that when they do their clean and they're pulling from the floor, it's very quad dominant. Like they have it's almost like a squatted deadlift, right? When you clean, they have this very upright pull that is definitely using their quads more than anything else. Well, if you have long femurs, you're not going to be able to get into that same starting position even. I have long femurs, unfortunately. This is also probably why I'm not very good at weightlifting. This means I can't use the same technique as Lou. Can't do it. Klokov is slightly bow-legged. I can't copy his technique either. I'm not built the same. This would be like if you tried to copy Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt has very long femurs. Look at the way he runs. Well, mine are kind of average length femurs, actually, to be honest, because I don't have femurs that are long enough to run like Bolt either. Damn. You can't copy other people's technique. You can try. I tried. I tried to figure out him. John Hack, wow, those squats are amazing. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's something going on there that he's getting an advantage from this bar position that he uses because it's not really like quite as high as a normal high bar. But no, it's just the way his body's built. I'm not built that way, and I can't do it. I can't copy it. So, instead of you wasting time, which is exactly what it is, it's wasting time. Instead of you wasting time trying to copy someone else's technique, try to figure out what technique works best for you. You can't just sit there and be like, well, this is the way that Ed Coan deadlifts, so I'm going to try to match his form exactly. Because you know what Ed did? Ed didn't look at someone else and go, oh, I'm going to try to copy that guy's form. Ed found out what form works best for him. John Hack didn't sit there and go, oh, you know what, I'm going to try to squat the same way that Chad Wesley Smith does. He didn't sit there and go, I'm going to try to squat the same way that Ed Coan does. Nope, John figured out what way to squat worked best for his body. And that's what you need to do. You don't see the Russian lifters sitting there going, oh, I'm going to copy, the Chinese technique. No. And you don't see the Chinese going, I'm going to copy the Russian technique. Nope. Instead, they figure out what works best for their body, what gives them the best angles or the best, leverages, mechanics, etc. Okay? You guys can apply this to literally everything. You can apply this even to the program design. All right? Forget all the crap that you've read about, this rep range and this, and this, and this many sets of what. Okay. I'm not going to tell you that stuff isn't true. Like, there's probably a good bit of overlap from one person to another. Like, yes, sets of 8 to 12 is a good rep range for a lot of people. It isn't a good rep range for me. Like, my body doesn't like that. I can't tell you why. I seem to do better whenever I'm doing very low reps. I make my best progress doing doubles and triples. I do a lot of singles. And I look at the singles as kind of like a practice thing because that's what weightlifting is. Weightlifting is a single. So you need to do heavy singles in order to practice your sport, right? If you're powerlifting, like, you should be doing singles. Even if you're not doing singles at 100%, let's say you're doing singles at 80%, you still have to practice the walkout, the setup, all that stuff like that. There's something to your sport. Like, there is a technique that is still required for you to unrack that bar, walk it out, and then squat it. Like, no one's doing sets of 5 in competition, so you need to practice doing singles. But I make my best progress doing triples. If I do triples in the clean or the snatch, even triples in the squat, that's where I make my best progress. When I do things like sets of 10, I'm not going to tell you that, like, I don't make progress. Oh, I don't make any progress at all. Of course you'll make progress. You'll make progress at any rep range if you consistently add weight to the bar at that rep range, right? But the thing is that I can tell you definitively for myself, just tracking things over time, my best rep range is 3s. So when I'm doing triples in the squat, I consistently get stronger. My legs look bigger and I feel better. I recover better. I do really low volume work. People would be shocked. I mean, it's not unusual for me to do less than 10 reps in a workout. So like that's like 3 sets of 3 and like I'm cooked. I'm done. Maybe I do 6 singles in the deadlift or something like that. And that's pushing it. I probably will do 4, maybe 5. But like 6, that would be me pushing it. When I go past that, if I try to do 8 or 10 singles in a workout, like, I'm not recovered the next day or even 2 days later. Like, I'm sore and I stay sore. So you have to figure out what volume works for you. Okay? And those things change over time too. When I was younger, I thrived on really high rep work. I used to do sets of 50 in the squat. I don't get the same response now. I mean, it's 20 years later. I can't do sets of 50 and recover. And also the load that I have to use to do sets of 50 it's just like, it doesn't have transfer, dynamic correspondence. It doesn't have transfer to weightlifting. It was great when I was a hockey player, right? Because hockey is basically just a sport of nothing but sprints. So doing sets of 50 was great as a hockey player. And I also wasn't, competing in weightlifting or doing anything like that either. It was purely just to be better at hockey. I'm off on a tangent, kind of, but, I had to find what worked best for me. What worked best for hockey was doing high rep work. What works best for weightlifting is me doing low rep work. I'm not trying to copy someone else's program. I'm not sitting there going, oh, this other guy, he does this program of this. No. No, I had to figure out my own program. And every time I've ever deviated and tried someone else's program, like, it didn't work well for me because, well, quite frankly, at this point in time, I know what I respond to. I know that I respond to low reps. I know which squat technique works for me. And sure, yeah, maybe you can't squat the way I squat. Especially like when I front squat, I have a very vertical torso and my knee goes way forward over my toe. Okay. Like I have a lot of ankle dorsiflexion there. Maybe your ankles don't move the way mine do, and that's fine. That kind of hammers home my point. If your ankles don't move the way mine do, don't copy my technique. Find the technique that works for you. And so, like I said from the very start, you can apply this to everything. You can apply this to your deadlift technique. You can apply this to your squat technique. Don't try to copy someone else's technique. Find the technique that works best for you. Same thing for your programming. Instead of copying someone else's program, find the program that works best for you. Find the rep range that feels best. Find the volume that works best. Some guys do huge volumes of work. I would be fried. I can't do it. I can't do really high volume work. Maybe it's my CNS, maybe it's my ability to recover. I don't know what it is, but regardless, really high volume stuff doesn't jive. And that's me experimenting, tracking, keeping track of my workouts, and then figuring out what works best for me. And so we'll take this all the way back around to the beginning, and I will say nutrition. Don't just copy someone else's diet. I don't care. They're paleo or whatever shit it is that they've chosen to label themselves as. Oh, I'm carnivore. I'm keto. Whatever. Like, it's not your identity. It's just food. And besides, you need to change your diet. Just like how you need to change your training. You should periodize things. You should evolve over time. You should find what works for you, and sometimes what works for you doesn't work for you. And I know that's a weird statement, but it's true. What worked for you might not work for you forever. You might have to change it. That goes for your technique. That goes for your rep ranges. That goes for your total training volume. That goes for your food. You may need to increase calories at one point, decrease calories at another point. You may need to remove certain foods. You may need to shift things around. You may need to be like me and add MCT oil to everything because, I don't know, because my guts like it. It's like, I don't know why. MCT oil is awesome. Maybe I have SIBO. Maybe the MCT oil killed the SIBO or something. I don't know. I can't tell you. You have to figure it out. And that's the part that is important here. That you need to keep trying things, tracking things. Don't try to copy just whatever you see out there. I can't squat the way that Chad Wesley Smith does. I can't. I don't have the same levers. I can't deadlift the way that Pete Rubish does. Can't do it. I don't have the same levers. And so the point being that you have to focus on yourself. Go ahead and take notes. Pay attention to what other people are doing and take a look at that and be like, oh, that's interesting how he approaches the bar. Or, oh, I like the way he takes the slack out of the bar before he pulls. But you can't just mimic their technique identically because you're slightly different. Maybe you have a longer tibia or a longer femur. Maybe you have a longer torso. Maybe you have long arms. I'm trying to think of who it was. Somebody made a comment about how they have really short arms. I don't remember who it was. It probably doesn't even matter. There was someone who was commenting about how they have short arms. It helps them in the bench press, and it hurts them in the deadlift. Well, no wonder. Think about it. You have short arms. So the bar isn't traveling as far when they're the bench press, and yet this hurts you in the deadlift because why? Well, because you have to get down even lower. Look at the people who are the great deadlifters. They tend to have really long arms. It's just a mechanical thing. And so like if you don't have really long arms, like you can't copy Richard Hawthorne. If you have really long femurs, like you're not going to squat like Tien Tao. You don't have the same biomechanics. And so that's really the takeaway here. Is just instead of copying other people, that's a waste of time. I wasted my time. I'm guilty of it. I tried to copy John Hack, and I recognize now that I can't move the way he does. He's fantastic, and he's fantastic for a reason. I am not. And so you're better off spending your time figuring out what works best for you. Find your optimal technique. Find your optimal rep range. Find your optimal training volume. That's what matters more, is optimizing yourself. Rather than like, oh, I'm gonna snatch just like, pick someone, Demas. I'm gonna do the same thing that, Lasha does. No, you're not Lasha. You're not built like Lasha. You can't just do the same thing. It won't work the same. It just won't. If you guys watched the video this far, like, comment, subscribe. In fact, actually make sure that you like videos if you actually like them, because then it lets me know. I actually check those things. I see if a video gets likes and dislikes, and if you like the video, then I know that I should produce more of these. If you guys don't like the video, then I know that that's not a good topic to talk about. And when you guys comment, I'm going to make more of an effort to read comments, and if you guys have questions, topics that you want covered, I'm going to do my best to cover the things that people are actually interested in. So, you know, if someone makes a comment, says, hey, can you do a video on, I don't care, a Russian squat program, and that comment gets 50 fucking likes or something like that, I will do that video. You know, if someone asks me a question and says, hey, you know, what's your recommendation for, you know, I don't know, balancing weight training with judo, I will do that video if that gets a bunch of likes. You know, if someone asks me, how do you manage the total training volume whenever you're also training judo for 2 hours a day? Like, if that comment gets a bunch of likes, we'll talk about that. You know, and then maybe that's even something that's worth talking about in general. Just how do you balance sport with your strength and conditioning? Because certainly if you're doing 2 hours a day on the mats, you know, it's going to cut into how much recoverable volume you can add to your strength and conditioning. So anyways, hope you guys like the video. If you like the video, like it. And let me know if this is a topic that you guys want me to expand on.